I was struck, and apologies if this comes across as a little bit sycophantic, but I genuinely was struck by the fact that amongst all the political journalists in that room, you were the only one who had the temerity to say, well, look, maybe following the rules wasn't so easy because the rules themselves, on one level, were pretty balmy.
Well, I think it's an absolutely crucial part of how we can understand how this went on within Downing Street for so long, how on those 8 dates rules could have been broken over varying levels of severity of restrictions, how the rules were changing and indeed at some points relatively difficult to distinguish between what was a legitimate gathering and an illegitimate gathering. And it's fairly plain to see the epidemiological balminess, really, of the fact that a group of people in a room all talking together for one purpose is fine, but for another is not. That makes very little epidemiological sense. And so I suppose I was trying to get to the bottom of how people could understand that, well, to be honest, if people were all in a room together, does it matter what they're doing? Clearly within the rules it did, and yet not necessarily within the epidemiology of the whole affair. And so the question then becomes, to what extent were the rules consistent? To what extent were the rules potentially not that well written? Now, the Prime Minister took the question to mean, should there have been any non-pharmaceutical interventions at all? And I don't think that that's quite what it was getting at. And so he was able to stand there at the dispatch box and say, well, we couldn't have done nothing as a government. And that's true. Yet to suggest that exactly what was done by the government at that time was absolutely necessary, to suggest that sitting on park benches was banned, to suggest that outdoor meetings were banned for so long and that first lockdown stretched in various forms for so many months. That was, I think, a legitimate question to ask, and I'm glad that the matter was raised.